Speaking of longevity with bands and stuff, I think tomorrow is actually the the is it like been 31 years I think now that fucking Kurt Cobain blew his brains out. I think last year was the 30th. So yeah, this it'd be 31 years tomorrow. I think technically like he killed himself like a few days before, but like they found him on the 8th, I think. Um, but yeah, that's fucking crazy, man. It's crazy that like that band had such an influence on music and like literally changed everything, and they only had three full length records. It's just so wild, and that like to this day like they're still like so like influential and like talked about and shit. I guess it's kind of like I'm trying to think of like another band that's like that. It's like not even like like you think of bands like the Doors and um, I'm not as familiar with like Hendrix, but I'm pretty sure Hendrix did more than three records, right? Or am I wrong? I mean, the Doors had a fuck ton of records, so it's like Jim Morrison, fucking dying at 27. It was like, yeah, it's sad and whatever, but it's like, I mean, they had a pretty good amount of records. There's bands that just broke up that didn't even put out that many records. It wasn't even that anyone died; they just broke up. Um, but yeah, with the Nirvana thing, it's like three records. Would have been interesting to see if he could have fucking stuck around. What would have happened? I think because you look at like a lot of bands from that time, I think what would have happened is I think Nirvana would have just broken up. It's what I think would have happened. That's kind of always been my prediction. I think they would have done one more record, and they might have just like fucking called it quits after that. Because if you read Kurt Cobain's suicide note, it kind of sounds like he's just breaking up the band. Like if you exclude the very end part of the note where he's it's very clearly like, oh, I'll be at your altar, Courtney, and blah 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 and all this kind of bullshit. If you just read the rest of it out of context, it literally just sounds like he's quitting Nirvana. He's just talking about like, yeah, like fucking feels like I'm punching in a time card, and I don't want to fucking betray the audience and all this kind of shit. And it's like, sounds like he's breaking up the band because he doesn't want to do it anymore and he doesn't want to cheat the audience. And then so if you look at it that way, it's kind of like, yeah, I don't think they would have lasted much more than maybe one more record. And then I could have seen him like maybe going like just solo or something like under his own name. But you look at all the bands at that time, like, I mean, Soundgarden only made it to 1997, right? They broke up in 97. And then, the Smashing Pumpkins barely made it out of the 90s, but, they didn't last past 2001. Um, let's see who else. Pearl Jam. I mean, Pearl Jam stuck around, but it was like, it's not like they were doing anything fucking like crazy. It was just the same shit over and over again. So a lot of those bands didn't. Alice in Chains, Lane Staley died in the early 2000s. They literally their last record was like 1995, and it was like just years of like they didn't do anything. So it wouldn't have been shocking that Nirvana kind of did the same thing and only put out maybe one or two more records. But I do feel like they had one more like really good record in them. I think that's the biggest bummer is I feel like they had another good one, but I guess we'll never know. It's crazy that the other thing that's crazy too is like I had this realization last year when I put out or it's not last year, year before last actually. when I put out the last I Am the Icarus record, I was like, holy shit. I have more. I've put out more records than Nirvana at this point. I didn't think that I would even get to that point of my career, but I'm like, yeah, I beat Kurt Cobain. Not only did I outlive him, but I've put out more records. So I guess that's something. Oops. All right.